education brings me to a very, in the same report, they said 1.2 million kids in Kenya, primarily going school kids, don't attend school. 1.2 million. That's disturbing.
Official policy, the constitution says education is
a right.
Is a right, and it should be free and compulsory. The Children Act says the same. It's been government policy since 2002, free primary education.
Yes.
Elimu ya bure, but we have turned it to be bure, bure elimu.
Bure elimu.
Elimu ambayo ni bure.
Yes.
Unfortunately, you see. So it's in our inefficiencies as a society, as a government, and all these ills that we have, corruption,
yes,
failing to penetrate government services to all the people.
For the people.
So, like here in Nairobi, you talk to people and they say, oh yeah, Nairobi, I don't know what, we're going to change Nairobi. Nairobi is going to be a world-class city. And then they go and pave the CBD. People don't have water in houses.
I was
telling, in December, I was telling my in-laws, there's a difference between having taps in houses.
And people running water.
Because Nairobi has taps in houses.
There's water. There's no water.
Nairobi kuna maji. We have taps in houses, but we don't have water.
Running taps, yeah.
So you wonder, why is the government paving roads when people wametoka kwa nyumba wajaoga?
Yes.
Honestly. So missed priorities.
Yeah.
I mean, if the government was working on ensuring, and this is a capital city of East Africa.
They have.
I would rather a government that will say in 5 years, I'll make sure 80% of Nairobi is or taps.
Sanitation, water and sanitation.
Yeah. I would rather that. And then let's go to the pavements.
Yes.
You see, but so that's an indication of why a parent in a low-income settlement area in Kenya, one, because of lack of information, will not know how to register their child
and take them to school.
When they want to register, lazima upatie chief kitu kidogo.
Yeah.
You have to pay somebody for your child to receive his or her right. So all these ills, the corruption, the social ills are what is affecting and eventually leading to our children not being registered, denying them of the documentation of their identities, and eventually denying them rights. This 1.2 million children who are not going to school.
That's appalling.
Yeah, it's a lot of it is from all these things of technical fabricated issues.
Yes.
Mtoto anaenda shule, where is uniform? Is it the uniform that's going to learn?
Allow the kid to go to school.
Yeah, or a child can't have a meal, so they can't concentrate in class. You see?
Yes.
So these basic things and bureaucratic impediments. I don't know, school fund, and we say education is free. You see?
Yeah.
So we have to tackle these things. To easy
side shows
and other things
and hurdles that don't even make sense,
which don't make sense, and especially for our children. And for me, you mentioned the best interest of children.
Yes,
I've always, and even when I talk to my colleagues in the children's sector, in fact, they know I've been criticizing them for me. I say, why aren't you politicizing children issues?
Yes. Why is it not an issue?
Yeah,
why is it not a pressing issue in the news?
You have to bring it, because when we were in Clan and the other organization, what we did is we politicized children issues. We were working with MPs.
It became an issue.
I learned how to work with MPs because we had to go and lobby MPs in parliament.
Yes.
Change this law, this policy, write them, read, research. When BBI report is out, I expect children's institutions to be the first ones to be there to analyze and say how it affects children, whether it's a good document for children or not. Because children are the priority of this country. That's how the best interest. In your house, like I was telling you, I cannot plan for my new pair of shoes. Or I don't know which accessory for my car or sijui record. Before I know how my child is going to eat, whether he's going to have a roof.
By the way, the best interest of the kid.
So in our country, it's the other way around. We plan for
ourselves.
We give the military money for defense, and we say it's.
Why are we defending?
What are you defending? And we even saw in the US with all their nuclear warheads,
might and all these things,
all their millions of soldiers. COVID came.
And it's ripping.
So we have to learn this.
BBI, the elephant in the room, but you said it's the rat in the room. Why?
I call it the rat in the room because, somebody who I think really explained it and captured it very well, the activist Cherotich Sei.
Oh, you sat with her in a debate that I watched, and it was a very heated debate you had.
But she had commented about it before, and I think she summarized it very well when she said BBI is a Trojan horse.
Okay.
Meaning it's something that has been crafted in a certain way, and the people who are crafting it know what they want
to
achieve from it, but they sugarcoat it and add other things, and pretend it's
that are appealing to the common man.
Yeah, but it's just to help them achieve
their agenda.
Wow.
Okay.
And so, to me, the rat in the room is the fact that BBI primarily, and especially for the proponents, is a venture for them to acquire more power. It's sort of an MOU for them to ensure certain personalities cling to power and perpetuate power, and also sort of break the checks and balances that the Constitution of Kenya 2010 has.
That you are very instrumental in drafting.
Yes. So it's a Trojan horse in that sense. Okay. And that's why, and all these other things, like you'll say, oh, you'll get 35% in counties. Yeah. Level. Or the youth, you'll have a commission. You'll have 94 women in the Senate. Those are meant to distract us. To distract us.
The main issue.
Yeah. Whereas the rat in the room is the issues around the national executive.
Wow. Okay.
Because when you look at a constitution, a constitution is about taming power.
Yes. Check and balance.
Yes. It's about when people get together, even us here, when we go together, some of us knew each other, some of us are strangers. But there are some basic rules we lay out, so that you can have a good time and a good recording. Otherwise, it will be chaotic.
Yes.
So even a society, a nation gets together and says, if we leave each other to do what we all want, then it is going to be chaotic. So we need a structure. We need a way to organize ourselves.
Okay.
And so eventually you come up, and that's how government came up, the theory of government and political institutions. And in all that, it's about, yes, we all have power, but we need to organize this power. So how do we do it? We create institutions, we create rules around it. At the core of this, and especially for an institution and society like Kenya, is the national executive. And even when Kenyans were fighting for a new constitution, which we achieved in 2010, it was around how national power is centralized, organized, and used. And that's what they wanted to tame. Since 1964, actually.
Yes.
You see, when the independence constitution started being dismantled, so that power could be concentrated around one institution of the presidency.
Yes.
So that's what, at the core of everything, when you deal with all these issues, you look at, and especially the experience we've had in the past 10 years of implementing the Constitution of Kenya, you discover that the national power holding and wielding is still very powerful.
Very powerful, yeah.
And that's why it has been able to penetrate into all these other political structures. So that's the institution we actually need to check more. So that parliament can be effective, so that judiciary can be effective, so that devolution can be effective, so that people can get their rights.
Yes.
You see, so when they come up with a structure which actually takes us back to the
initial,
using some funny language and
decorating
it and pretending. But when you analyze it, and if you know how government and power works and how these institutions relate, when you say this power belongs to this institution can appoint this one, can fire this one, you know what it means. And especially if you know the political history of our country, the experience we've had, especially since 2013. And these are the same guys who are telling us they want an institution or to rearrange the national executive to give certain relationships, to break certain relationships or to create new relationships around the structure of the presidency, which will now wield more powers.
Yes.
And that's the rat in the room for me.
Okay.
And that's why I look at it and I say, no, this is taking us,
back to the dark days.
This is, I actually like saying, we had made 2 steps forward now we are making
5 or 10 backwards.
5 backwards and 17 sideways, Wow. So if we allow this to happen.
Yes.
And I was talking about future generations in our country. We're actually giving our children a tougher life
environment
to work with.
Yes.
And so somebody was asking me the other day, so what could have been the solution? I said, when you look at the history of power and political institutions, it's been about dismantling power around and distributing it to. So people and human beings need to be, that's why even human rights as a concept.
Yes.
The progress has been to give more power to the people,
And actually the power belongs to the people.
Exactly. Reggae music is about power to the people. It's about activating and empowering people, downpressed masses to know that first, even just you created as a human being, you are powerful. So, stand up, stand up and fight for your rights, So for me, where we stopped at 2010, there's no constitution that's perfect. There's no human institution that's perfect because we are imperfect in us. I mean, you've looked at look at what America is going through.
It's been
look at what it's going through. So you discover democracy, constitutional democracies. It's a hard job to hold on to them. So you must work. But the logical flaw should be that, yes, we achieved separation of powers.
Yeah, in 2010.
In 2010, the experience has been the national executive is still very powerful. So the next step, if somebody will tell me...
It's going back.
Yeah, or the next logical step, which because you amend the constitution to improve it. And to me, improving the national executive would be to dismantle more power.
Yes.
Not to give the presidency more power.
An imperial presidency.
Yeah, exactly. So if to me somebody would have told me we actually now want to separate, in fact, the powers that the presidency has, so that the president, we separate, because the president now is a head of state and head of government.
Head of government, yeah.
So to me, the more logical step now would be to separate those powers.
Yeah, exactly.
So we have head of government being separate.
And head of state being separate.
So in BBI, they are lying to people that, the prime minister, the prime minister is not the head of government.
I can actually be fired. That's what
exactly. And when you look at even the functions,
yes,
the guy supervises a cabinet that has been named by the president.
He's an errand boy for the president.
Exactly. You see, so it's not categorically stated that the prime minister is the head of government and maybe the president is the head of state.
Yes.
And then you see clear-cut demarcation of powers around. People talk about, you can't have different centers of power. We already have different, because when you look at how government was before.
Yeah, now we have devolution of counties.
Yeah, and even the structure, and we borrowed this from, we had aspects of it in our African societies and nations. But for instance, the king was everything.
Yes.
The king was a judge.
Yes.
Or the pope. The pope was a judge, was the one who decides who gets what, was the executive. But it was separated. That's how I'm saying the logical flaw.
The logical flaw, yeah.
So we need to put more power in people, put more power in institutions.
Yes.
We already have separated powers. So let no one lie to us at you can't have different centers of power. No, we want many centers of power. If you have many centers of power, people talk about Raila Odinga and Kibaki's Nusumkeka and Nusumkate government and say, these people used to fight. Yes, let them fight.
That's democracy now.
Yes, that's democracy. That's how it's supposed to be. It's not about government singing in a chorus.
Yes.
That one guy says and everybody. No, you want an institution. That's what I was talking about, even at home. I want my child to tell me, no, dad.
No, dad, that's wrong.
I think that's wrong. What do you think about, I want my girlfriend to tell me, I don't think this is right.
This is right, yeah.
You see, and I want to tell her, I don't think this is right. That's the society you want to create, not at year one.
The decision is final.
In fact,
don't question.
Kibaki and Raila achieved a lot because they used to fight.
By the way.
Raila wakes up and says something, Kibaki says no.
And loving each other means you fight.
Yeah.
And caring about each other.
Kibaki wakes up and says something, Raila says no. So people say, they used to fight. They have to fight.
That's healthy.
People ask about, the parliament is fighting with judiciary. Judiciary is fighting with the executive. They are designed to fight.
In all relationships.
They are not supposed to sing at one chorus. Sasa imbeni. No. Yes. The structure is they have to question each other. Yes. And in that questioning, so long as it's not for selfish or this, underhand political reasons.
Yeah.
But if it's in national interest where Parliament comes up and does a law and somebody goes to court and the courts look at it and say, you don't have the powers to do that law, so we are stopping you from doing it. That's the fight we want. When the executive does something and Parliament says, yes, you're the president, but the Constitution does not give you these powers. So some people say, these people are fighting. They are designed to fight. And a society which has more centers of power. And so long as you define those powers well and how they relate to each other.
It's a progressive society.
I agree. So this 100. Thing of tuimbe wimbo moja, fuata nyayo politics.
Yes.
This is what sunk Kenya to what it was before 2010.
2010, yeah.
And it's going to sink us even further. We've seen even with the emasculation of the powers of when the national executive has grabbed parliament and put it in its pocket. It's been fighting to grab the judiciary. It's almost succeeding now. Look at what happened.
It succeeded already.
Yesterday, the High Court issuing an order apparently purporting to remove the Chief Justice. That is hocus pocus law. It's magic. I was telling you, it's, to me, some of the things that have been happening, they sound like it's April Fool's Day in January, and we are not living April Fool's Day.
Yeah.
In fact, sometimes
it's unbelievable.
Journalists, I've just received a call from a journalist to comment about, and I said, I don't think, why are we commenting about rubbish?
There's nothing to comment.
Just treat it with the contempt.
It deserves.
If you come and tell me a tree is a car, and I can see
we can't argue about it.
So why do you want me to? I just look at you and say, you think a tree is a car?
All right, have fun. Knock yourself out.
Ile unavuta, wewe endelea kuvuta hiyo, But I know that's a tree. So I don't think I need to comment, because I think sometimes we justify and we give credibility to some of these nonsense.
Non-issues.
By talking about it. And unfortunately, that's where we are. Unfortunately, to me, that's where BBI, what BBI is.
Okay.
It's taking us back. It's not dealing with the issue of controlling the power of the executive properly.
Yes.
It's actually taking us back to the Moi and
the dark days.
The dark days of Kenya.
Wow.
And that's why for some of us, and for me especially, I'm saying no.
Okay. Yeah. Let's hope Kenyans will listen and watch and make a confident decision when it comes to the BBI. Let's just talk about reading culture, since Kenyans don't read a lot. What's your current read, Bobby? I know you read a lot.
Right now, I'm reading Obama's book.
Okay, The Promised Land.
Promised Land.
Yes.
And as I told you before, I'm reading a lot from online content.
Okay.
Journals, articles. I'm listening to so many podcasts.
Yes.
So it's part of that. Reading is imbibing culture. Or information.
Yes.
Even music. Like we were talking earlier about listening to music. Listening to music is also a process of
reading and
reading
and enlightening yourself.
And getting information into processing information in your mind and your soul. So it's to me it's all the same thing.
Yes.
listen to a 3-minute piece of music.
Yes.
And it will tell me a lot more than a book can. I will look at this painting.
And it will communicate.
It will communicate much more than sometimes a book. But reading is important also. Yes. There's a lot that's in books, but as they say, I forget who said it, like if you want to hide, I think it's Malcolm X.
Yeah, if you hide something from an African, is it?
Yeah,
black man?
A black man, put it in a book, you know, which is true.
Great,
But I think it's the way books are written, who writes them. Fortunately now we are, and you have different literature. You have academic literature with footnotes and whatnot.
Yes.
That's for the professionals. We have books, people who have been able to decipher and simplify knowledge in a certain way, and they write about the experiences. It's more palatable, it's more useful to common people. You have music. Yes. Like I was saying, there's somebody who's able to capture heavy music, heavy... when Burning Spear talks about identity, they want me to change my identity. In 3 minutes... That's knowledge. He has captured,
he's educated
and
someone.
helped you to decipher about you and to
your
love
identity.
your identity.
As an African, as a black man.
Yeah. So I think it's important for people to understand that, to read more, to consume more, more art, more music. In whichever form
you want to
consume. Not everyone loves reading,
Yeah.
But that's what I'm trying to expand the word reading. Reading is capturing information.
It's not limited to just reading books.
Just limited to but invite yourself every day to something, to a piece of knowledge or information that challenges your thinking. That's what is important.
Provoke your mind.
Yes. Provoke your mind with something. If it's music, if it's appreciating a painting, if it's in fashion and design. It's some people communicate through dress, if it's in how you do your hair. But question your mind, architecture, ask yourself.
Question everything. Why
did this guy design
this? Yeah. Why not this way?
Yes. Maybe this way would have been better. If you are the one, if you love books, try and read a book every now and then.
Yes.
I think that's what is important.
Absolutely. We just inspired someone to read right now.
I hope so.
Yes. So I want to do a personality sentiment thing. So what I will do, I will mention 3 people, maybe friends personally, people you don't know maybe, and you just say something about them. Yes, so this should be fun.
Okay.
Let's start with the late great Zamba Kitonga. You served with him at the COE.
Yes.
What do you think about him, his legacy, his personality? Just briefly.
Zamba was great in this way. He was simple.
Okay.
He was down to earth.
Yes.
A very, 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 very smart mind.
Yes.
But use that mind in, like I was saying, in a very simple way, and being simple with people and being simple with issues. And also, he applied his smartness to help people. In fact, during the period when he was being eulogized, somebody gave us this story. And I think it's the former LSK president, Eric Mutua. I never got to see the article, but somebody mentioned that they read how he had eulogized him. That Zamba would be, and he was a senior counsel.
Yes.
But you take briefs, very small briefs, of what you'd say, watu wa kawaida.
Yes.
And he would appear in small courts, as we would call them. And even some advocates would wonder what is senior counsel doing here. Yeah. And the story was, there's one, he appeared for somebody who I think had lost a cow, worth about 30,000.
Yes.
And the lawyer on the other end, who was a young lawyer, he actually stood up to oppose Nzamba's presence there. That what are you doing here, the quantum of this case? It's just a cow.
Yes.
You should be just waiting to appear in the Supreme Court. You see? And Zamba said, no, this cow is very important I know what this guy went through to have that one cow, So I identify with that.
Okay.
So to him, that one cow and what he has lost is as important as a billionaire.
A billionaire who has lost a building.
So and that's it resonated with me because I said, this is the Zamba I knew.
Yes.
He didn't have airs about him. He's a guy people described with they would always see him walking around the CBD from office when he's going to a meeting.
You told me he used to walk from Upper Hill to
the CBD. To CBD, you know, and I can imagine him with his files. Even when you look at his files, they'll be simple. I remember one time when Mombasa, you
told me that story about the tuk-tuk.
Yeah, we jumped into a tuk-tuk.
Yes.
The cabs there, very new.
Yes.
They could not believe it. And I remember one guy saying, Zamba, you are all chairperson of a constitutional commission. How can you board a tuk-tuk?
Wow.
And it's because the guys had upped their rates and their fares because they could see it was him.
It's him. Mm-hmm.
So, maybe the ride is worth 500 bob. They're asking for 2,000 because it's in Zamba. And he couldn't take that, It wasn't... So he was a very... He taught me to be, humble and to be simple.
Yes.
That justice is simple. In fact, I sometimes relate that with the former Chief Justice, Maraga.
Really? The immediate.
Maraga. Because I've had people, and especially lawyers, attack Maraga that, I didn't... jurisprudence.
But he stood for something.
But he actually taught us that sometimes justice is very simple.
Yes.
It's not concocted in
legal jargon.
Jargon.
Yes.
Sometimes just read and see.
Yeah, simple. Yeah.
And just execute that.
Exactly.
See?
Yes.
So that's what also Zamba stood for, the simplicity of justice.
Of the law and justice.
And law.
Yes.
But again, this being a podcast around confidence, he also gave me a lot of confidence in myself.
That's great.
Because on so many occasions, Zamba called me to ask me to represent him.
Wow.
Or he's been invited for something, he's not able to make it.
Yes.
Could
you show up for him on his behalf? Yeah.
And that I used to wow. I mean, what has Zamba seen in me?
Yes.
To think that I can actually step in. But that used to give me a lot of confidence.
Wow.
That a senior counsel
has confidence in you.
A former president of the COMESA.
LSK too.
LSK, COMESA court.
Yes.
An internationally recognized jurist and lawyer could see me, who actually never qualified as an advocate.
But he inspired confidence in you.
But he used to, whenever he'd call and that would, because he had confidence in me, in my skills, in my, that he would recommend and say, I can't be there, but call Bobby Mkangi.
Yes.
I think he can do it. So that gave me a lot of confidence.
Wow, okay.
There was very good mentorship. So,
May his soul rest in peace.
Amen.
Yes. Next personality, Peter Tosh. I know you're a big fan. You're a huge fan of Peter Tosh. I know you listen to a lot of his music.
Wow. I don't like ranking reggae artists.
Yes.
But I give him a special category. I think he was great in his own way.
He was exceptional.
I think he has one of the best vocals, voices in reggae music you'll ever. Yes, I think.
Yeah.
And his lyrical
prowess
and expression was
amazing.
His production, but again the content of his music. Very few artists, and I think
can come close to Peter Tosh.
Come close to Peter Tosh.
I remember the other day, you sent me his record. Magadog.
Yeah.
And I had to listen to his entire album.
you listen to it, and I mean, you pick up. Peter Tosh is contagious,
he is,
and he's also addictive.
Very addictive.
He's very addictive. Because of how he rendered his music, but again also how he lived his life.
Yes.
Very, very controversial. Yes.
Yeah, he was.
Died
very controversial
circumstances, unfortunately. But that's who he was.
Yeah, without apologies.
Without apologies at all. He was who he was. Even back in his history, why he broke out of
the Wailers.
The Wailers. I mean, he couldn't take any nonsense.
Yes.
His fights with what was this rock and roll group? Big, is it not Guns N' Roses, but anyway, one of those.
The UK group.
Yeah, and it, so he inspires in that sense.
Yes.
That, I mean, right now we are legalizing marijuana.
Yes. And Peter Tosh. He sang about it. Yeah.
Philosophized about it. And that's what I was saying about, you find a lot of literature now, scientific, political, economic literature around the legalization of marijuana. Governments are now taking it up, more for economic reasons. But on the premise also that a lot of the information against marijuana use was propaganda. And scientific information is showing that that was propaganda. Ran by governments and also inspired by the tobacco industry.
Yes.
But guys like Peter Tosh were brave enough years ago
to
come out and like I was saying, a piece of music can abridge literature. So he was ahead of his time.
Absolutely.
It was in terms of political, social, economic, and also personal issues.
Yes.
And so, but as I was saying, music, the first thing you appreciate about it is the voice first.
The voice first.
So I his vocals are, to me, I listen to Tosh and it just takes me somewhere else.
Absolutely. May his legacy live on.
Yeah, man.
So Maya Angelou, Maya Angelou, what do you think about Maya Angelou?
Maya, again, was and is, because, when...
She still lives
within us, her physical, her carbon sense went back to... to be with the dust, we when you look at when you read science, we say we are stardust.
We are,
because we are carbon. We eventually go back to being carbon.
Yes,
and that's an important thing to appreciate in life. That eventually, when we live what we call post-biological life, we live memories.
Yes,
so we start living as memories. And your memories can be in many ways. Maybe you wrote books, you sang a song, you played a sport, and people can remember how many goals you scored, whatever, baskets you made, how fast you ran, So all these memories, how many people you killed, when you think of the Hitlers and Stalins of this world, So all these are memories you leave behind. So Maya left... a legacy of, deep poetry.
Deep poetry, yes.
But again, to me, for Maya, it's more of the depth of her voice and her poetry. The calming, very deep and inspirational sense in her writing. But again, as I'm talking about her, I remember her personality, even her images. That's what they espoused. And you see it coming out in, even now, her legacy is being carried on by, Amanda...
the poet.
The poet.
The poet. She did a good job at the inauguration. Yes.
And all this is
Maya,
progeny.
Inspired by Maya. Yeah.
So these memories also can live up and be captured by other people.
And they can take the baton. Yes.
And I think... that's why I think it was very important, like for Barack Obama to give what is Medal of Freedom.
Yes.
In acknowledging her space and the work she's done.
In the world, actually.
In the world, through her writing and also through how, because it's also how you live your life. It's also important, and so everything that she did for
humanity.
I dabble in poetry.
Yes.
In fact, the first time I came to House of Reggae Studios, I used to listen.
Yes.
I'd never met you guys. I think the only person I knew Bill Odidi from
From KBC. Yes.
But I never met.
We met for the first time in the Anthony B concert. You remember?
Yeah. It's true. Yeah. So, but you see, like when I came to the studio,
yes.
Then Junior Dread, I saw Junior Dread. Like, I know this guy.
Yeah.
So first, then he told me, Bobby. In fact, he just called. I said, okay. Said, then he told me his name from.
Yes.
We used to do poetry. Bill, Junior Dread used to do more of skits. But when I was in university, we used to do poetry. And recite poetries and organize reading events at the then British Council and now
WAPI.
Alliance, exactly, Alliance Française. Yeah. We'd have these Ken Saro-Wiwa days and we'd write poetry and recite. And we used to do it with
Junior Dread.
It was Fanya. So when he told me, I said yes, I thought you looked familiar. So for Maya and for me being a side away, sometimes I write poetry, I've published poetry, I've recited poetry. She was definitely
an inspiration.
Inspiration and up there, but a very calming
and comforting
and inspirational spirit.
Amazing.
For me.
Great. Yeah. She inspired confidence in you. And that's what you're doing tonight. Today you inspired confidence. All right. This is the Confident One, Conscious Podcast. Thank you, Bobby, for your time.
Thank you for having me.
We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Your service to humanity is impeccable.
I hope
you're doing great. Keep inspiring confidence.
Thanks for having me. And I have to mention, when you told me I'm going to be your first guest, I thought you've made a big mistake. Why me? And especially the fact that the other thing, if I was joking with my wife, I was saying, I don't know, Conscizi. One, I don't have a thumbprint on social media a lot, and I thought you need a guest who.
I'm not about that. I'm not about that.
And I'm not on Twitter.
We are about inspiring confidence. You are legendary, Bobby. At the end of the day.
Now you're flattering me. That's how you're flattering me.
Yes. So thank you for your time. This is the Confident One Conscious Podcast. Thank you. All right.